Hello, welcome to the ASU Digital Accessibility Liaisons meeting. I'm Alejandra. Kathy is also a co-host. And today is July 17th, 2024. And today we're going to talk about universal design for learning and accessible courses. So Mary Loader from the Instructional Design and New Media team has come to visit us to discuss her success and in leading the teams that are building these wonderful trainings about accessible courses, universal design for learning. And I'm excited to learn more about how that we can learn about, what those theories are and, how we can use our knowledge of digital accessibility to support that. So I'm going to stop sharing. And Mary, do you want to share or do you want me to share your presentation?
I'm fine to share and lead it if that's okay with you.
That's perfectly fine. Then you have control over it.
Okay,
And then,
great. Sure.
and then after, yeah, great. And then after Mary's conversation with us at 3 o'clock, there will be an open discussion for any individualized questions or concerns that you'd like to talk about regarding digital accessibility. Take it away, Mary.
All right, thank you so much. Let me just go ahead and see if this share works properly. Let me know if you see the presentation and if anything that is obstructing your view. Does it look okay? Okay, great. So I'm Mary Loader. Thank you very much for the introduction, Alejandra. I'm the Manager of Professional Development and Training for our Instructional Design and New Media team at EdPlus. We're a team that primarily is known for supporting ASU Online. So you know that product, and that's the one we typically talk about when we talk about our support. I'm here to talk to you about accessible courses because accessible courses are a part of our standards at ASU Online. We do our best, as everyone else does, but it is in our standards, so people don't get paid unless our courses are accessible, which really helps with making things accessible. Also, there's a Universal Design for Learning initiative that's really being pressed now that we've kind of elevated the cultural awareness around accessible needs and also the regulation that's coming down in the next couple of years around accessible web spaces, including our courses. Now we feel like it's time to build on that foundation and really elevate an ongoing framework around universal design for learning to address learner variability. So when we think about learner variability and our charter and inclusive excellence, what we think of is specifically our fundamental responsibility for the cultural, social, and economic welfare of all of our communities and who we serve. And so that's not just in our courses, but also teaching our students how to be accessible and to act in a nature that is overall inclusive. So building those skills. So we do have a lot of initiatives at the university that actually were started by Gemma Garcia, and then Adero and Kathy took those on over the last, I think, 6 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, ladies. They led our Universal Design and Accessible Technology Working Group. And now I'm leading that with Krista Perojito, who's one of our dedicated faculty at ASU. And so we really just want to make you aware of your ability to interact in those spaces and some of the resources that exist from that space. So one of the major things that's coming up, and feel free to use your phones to scan the QR code, or we can send a link to this slideshow in the chat so you can access these links. But one of the major initiatives coming up is our ASU Accessibility Awareness Day. This will be our second time running this conference, and we're running it on November 7th. So feel free to sign up through that link to attend. We'd love to have you. It's in person and online. And also we're making a call for presentations. So if you're doing things that are really great and you want to elevate the things you're doing to influence others to do those great things, we'd love to hear from you. Please join us, and we'd love to elevate that space, especially for our digital liaisons. Y'all have really dedicated time to learning skills that are necessary and influencing those around you. So we'd love to have you be a part of that presentation process in addition to attending. This will be held in person at the Memorial Union at the Tempe campus on the second floor. So we've got 3 of our rooms there. We are expanding it in a much bigger way. And then we'll of course have that online presence like we did last year with a Zoom presence in each of those rooms. So even if you're unable to attend in person, you won't miss anything by attending online, and we'd love to have you there. One of the other major things that have come out of the Universal Design and Accessible Technology Working Group are a number of courses. But one of the things I'm going to be talking to you about is just around course standards themselves. And so when we think about WCAG 2.1 and level AA is what we're aiming for by 2026 in all of our courses and into our web content, we're really thinking about the standards around perceivability, operability, understandable content, meaning that a screen reader can get the content and display it in a meaningful way, and the robustness. So did this person have to go through all kinds of hoops to be able to understand it? We know that the disabled community has trained themselves to work within the abled community as best they can, and it's just not fair that you've had to put forth the extra effort. So trying to really make it robust means making it easy to operate, as if there was no barrier to access. So there's a whole list of standards there. You're welcome to scan the QR code and take this with you later to use as an informational tool. And there's a link within the slideshow that you can use as well. I'm just going to take a pause for a second and see if there's any questions before I move on to the next slides. So let me just pull up the chat and make sure I can see it. And Alejandra, would you be able to share a link to the slides so that those who are watching can follow along and click on those links if they'd like to?
Yep, let me get that for you.
Thank you so much.
Mary, I do have a question before we continue on. My understanding is that these brand new guidelines are coming from a private entity that is, of course, collaborating with other public entities to include the federal government, but W3 pushes these out, right? They're a private institution?
Yeah, WCAG is who pushes this out, and W3 is also how they're known. This is like a grassroots effort and has been for a long time, much like UDAT is, right? So there weren't a lot of standards, but there was an understanding of need. And so a lot of people came together and wrote these standards. These actually aren't new. The 2.1 AA are not new. They're pretty old, actually. There's other levels that are even more robust and intense, but this level is now what the federal government has adopted. So now it's not just the grassroots effort. This is something being supported and regulated by the federal government. I believe it's by April of 2026. Entities like ours of 50,000 users and above need to be completely in alignment with the WCAG 2.1 AA. There will be more communication coming out from the university, so I would wait to highlight this without backup from the provost office, but the provost office is aware and they're developing messaging along with enterprise technology. Thanks for the question, Benno.
Thank you.
Any other questions before I move on? Okay, moving right along. So we did create a course. We've created a number of courses actually as a part of the UDAT community, but this one's specific to digital courses. So our other ones were around awareness, like why should you care? And now that we've gotten everybody, hopefully, aware of why they should care, we're going to show them how to do it. Because one of the reasons that our courses weren't accessible in the past wasn't because of a lack of desire, but because of a lack of knowledge. And so we want to create this repository of experiences that allow people to gain skills so that they feel empowered to participate in this way. Because actually creating accessible courses is not hard. And when you're doing it as a part of the natural flow and processes of building a course, it's just like moments that it takes to really be thoughtful to create accessible content. So we do have a badging experience for this course, which I'll share a link to the course later, but the accessible course creator experience covers major content like how to remediate what you already made. What do you do with your media? Like, how do you think about creating media from an accessible standpoint? And that's not just captioning and transcripts, but like, how do you create your presentations? Image influencing. So what do your images mean? Why are you using them? So this is more than accessible. This is like, is it important to have an image? Why do you have a picture of your dog in your course, right? Like, how is that relevant to the course? Really thinking about the cognitive load and the connection to the content. Then also content creation and content curation. So our faculty are content creators. They create lectures, they create resources. So teaching them how to do that is really important. And then we have some great partners in the library that help us with content curation. So through the Library Resource Organizer, which is actually going through a wonderful revamp, which will be ready in August, it's super easy to create a list of all kinds of content. YouTube videos, PDFs, articles, books, lots of things that are available to all of the public of ASU. And then if something's not accessible, they have a team that actually remediates those resources for you. So it's a fabulous resource. I'm seeing you don't have access to the slide deck. I apologize, Tapati. I think I shared edit access, Alejandra, with you, but if I didn't, let me know and I can jump out and fix that link. So in the modules themselves for this course, these are the objectives of our remediation module. So teaching them how to use the tools that exist. Ally is one of our major resources, and so is the Canvas Accessibility Checker. And then identifying inaccessible content, using those checkers, and then finding the way to remediate those, linking to the accessibility resources, and identifying when to double check accuracy of the remediation, because sometimes you could put something in there like a file name, and it'll say that it's been alt text when that's really not meaningful. So really checking the content itself. Thank you for letting me know. I'm going to see if I can get in there now and make that change.
That's okay, it happens.
Oh, and look at that. I'll make anybody with a link can view. We should be good now. Okay, so moving right along, the Media Manager module goes through, again, like I said, preparing your content for the video creation. So how can you prepare? What type of video are you making? And then describing the impact of captions on all learners to explain what kind of things need to be in your captions, making sure that they're accurate, making sure your transcripts are accurate, that your transcripts have speakers listed so that the reader knows when there's a transition between speaking, making sure that there's descriptive information when something's being described through imagery but is not described vocally in a video, which we try to remediate in the video preparation tips, but it doesn't always hit. And then identifying your captioning resource page on the accessibility site, and then using technologies and support systems to generate captions in your own course. Again, if you're curating content, our library resource organizer is the way to go to ensure that you have access to all of the content that you need and that it is accessible in nature. Our image objectives, I think everybody here has gone through a bunch of training, so you probably are aware of alt text and long description and all those things. But just making sure that the ways that we use and create various types of images are accessible and relevant, and revising ambiguous alt text so that it's meaningful, describing the impact of alt text on all learners, and they do learn how to create an alternative to graphical text. So learning how to convert like a large infographic into a PDF so that you can actually tag it and so it's meaningful to the user. So it's not necessarily an image file, but it is imagery that you're then using additional tools like a PDF to be able to remediate more intentionally. And then there's the content creator objectives, just observing the needs with a provided student profile. So we created this whole group of student profiles, which you'll have access to in a moment. And these are not real people, right? But these are true experiences that we've encountered as the designers of the course. And so just thinking about what are our students, who are they, meeting them where they are, and applying that consideration when we're creating content. And then identifying different elements of writing accessible content, not only just in general like an email, but specifically for learning experiences. And then applying those elements of accessible content to their own educational materials and reflecting on how that impacts the student's success. So there's a lot of information within this module because creating content takes multiple levels of accessible understanding. And so this is one of the heavier modules, but a great module. And then content curator. This module is not very heavy. This module really refers people to the library resource organizer overall, and thinking of all the things that they'd already learned before they got to this module around heading use and structure and alt text and all those different pieces that go into content creation. So here's a link if you'd like to register if you haven't already. I'd actually be surprised if most of you have not registered, if not completed this course already, because you're all very dedicated, and I think this was shared with your group last year. But this course was created as a part of the UDAT experience, but as a collaborative effort with people from all over the university. It was primarily instructional designers. We didn't have a lot of faculty in the time of this course being created where we could tap on them as resources other than Krista Projito, who was an absolute helpful person in this. And then we had a ton of designers like Alejandra, Michael Miller, London Skiles. I mean, there were so many people. Adaro, Kathy. I don't have everybody on the slide, and I should have included that slide, but there were so many people. The College of Health Solutions had like 2 or 3 designers involved, Mary Lou Fulton. And there was just so many people involved, and it was so nice to have like this community come together to create a resource like this. So really appreciate the help from that. And then our media team over at Ed Plus and our instructional designers helped in this as well. It was a real collaborative experience. And there is a pathway. So that badge that's listed there, once you've accessed all of the other badges at the end of the course, it indicates that you can click a little button for completion, which then triggers the Canvas course to give you the accessible course creator pathway badge. Now, before I transition and share the student profiles, are there any questions so far? Okay, we're going to move right along. So this QR code, I love QR codes, can you tell? This one sends you to the ASU student profile page, which was the page of interactive student profiles that list the needs of the students. Some of them are disabled, but not all of them, because really accessible design meets everyone where they're at. And it helps with multimodal access. It's really a universal design for learning principle to start with accessible content so that you can offer access in many ways. So highly recommend looking at these student profiles if you're not already familiar with them, and just exploring the different ways that accessible design can support student success so that you can feel informed when you're having conversations with faculty and design staff that will likely be coming to you over the next year and a half as they're preparing for the 2026 rollout of our accessible standards. And so we're going to transition into Universal Design for Learning. The QR code on screen right now is a QR code to lead you to cast.org. They're one of the primary resources that are really well known for creating and revising the Universal Design for Learning guidelines around 3 specific principles, which we'll cover in a moment, but I just want to give you an opportunity to scan this or access it in the slides because there's so much information on this site. And it's actually changing really soon at the end of August, pardon me, at the end of July, beginning of August. They're going to be releasing the 3.0 version of this guideline framework. And so highly recommend checking back in August, same link, to see the revisions. They're primarily around identity and making sure that our inclusivity is really a key factor around the 3 principles around UDL. So those 3 principles are engagement, representation, and action and expression. They all have within them different standards, and so you're welcome to click onto those to see the various ways that those can be represented in courses. This is a fabulous resource. These links come directly from the cast.org guidelines. I didn't make any changes to them because I really think they do a great job in explaining everything. So I figure, like, why mess up what's already working, right? But those are all linked there for you. And then we're just going to go through each one of these and talk about them for a moment. So if you do have experience with UDL, or in reading this, if you didn't realize you were fulfilling UDL principles, I'd love to hear from you. Please take yourself off mute or put in the chat different ways that you promote engagement through these 3 different standards of recruiting interest, sustaining effort and persistence, and self-regulation strategies. Does anyone want to be brave and share? I see some instructional designers on the call. I know Steve Salik's on the call, who's one of our primary contributors for our UDL course. He's an amazing faculty at ASU.
Can you hear me?
I can. Do you want to share some of the ways you do things to fulfill these engagement principles?
No.
Come on, Steve.
We, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Steve Salik. I teach in the Learning Design and Technologies program at Mary Lou Fulton, where I'm the program coordinator for several of our programs. And one of the things we've been doing is moving our program away from its theoretical PhD roots to a more applied practice program. As part of that, we've been creating things like mini modules, which is something I'll be presenting a webinar on, I don't
Next
know,
week.
25th or something.
Yeah. It's next week. I hope you show up. Everybody's coming to see you.
Yeah. And basically, I've been creating these mini module things as long as I have been teaching, which goes back to a time when cows were grazing on the lawn of Old Main, and prior to that, in my military service. But what's changed in the past year or so is that our robot overlords, ChatGPT, have provided us with a mechanism that allows these things to be created at an extremely fast-paced and in a very targeted way. Prior to working with generative AI to do this, it took a day or two to create one of these things because you had to write out the dialogue, you had to figure out keywords, you had to actually set up your gear and do the voiceover. You had to, figure out which tool you were going to use to make it go. The longest part of it was you had to spend like hours looking for copyright free images to illustrate the points you were making. Now I've automated all of that with prompts to ChatGPT. It essentially does all of the ideation, and then I just assemble the thing. The other things we're doing, we are using some tools that have been provided by, honestly, Mary, I don't remember who actually developed it, but I'm going to say at ASU Online, they developed a front end for OpenAI's voice generation tool. Was it?
Yep, it was ASU Online. It was Michael Arsenault. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Michael developed a really great tool for creating digital voiceover. You just paste some text in there and boom, it creates the voiceover. So what I've also been doing to support the principles of UDL is what that allows you to do. And I've actually got a video on the way. It's just backlogged because I've got conferences coming up. What I am able to do is just take the text off every Canvas page and put a button on the top of the page that allows students to access it as a voiceover, as being read. It's not a substitute for proper ADA, proper ADA implementation with a screen reader and headings, all of that. It's really just meant to accommodate students who have high anxiety, ADHD, other things that prevent them from being able to read in one sitting. The advantages it has over Microsoft Immersive Reader, which is actually integrated into Canvas, if you didn't know that, is the students don't have to turn it on, because with Microsoft Immersive Reader, each individual student has to physically turn it on in their Canvas settings. And the other thing is it's got a, I don't know, design flaw, shortcoming, whatever you want to call it. It only works on content pages. So if you have like a large body of instructions for a discussion prompt, you can't use Microsoft Immersive Reader for assignments pages, discussion pages, things like that. So that's the nice thing about being able to use a voiceover tool. It allows me to put that intervention anywhere I want it. So those are the two big things I'm doing. We have a few other little things we do from time to time. And, if anybody's interested, they can contact me.
Thank you, Steve. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I will share a link to the ASU Online webinar space. We are at capacity for Stephen's actual presentation, but I'll share a link to like our actual webinar space that we always use every time. So you don't even have to register. You can just come in and attend. We can host far over 100 in our Zoom room.
So Mary doesn't know this yet, but I'll be doing the webinar. I think we've allotted 30 minutes for that because that's about the endurance people have for webinars.
Yeah.
But we'll be producing a video shortly after that goes through the process step by step by step. And
Beautiful.
once I give that URL to Mary, she can distribute it wherever she wants.
Awesome. We'd love to load it onto the Instructional Design New Media YouTube page where we're doing, because of your influence, mini modules on our webinars. So condensing them down to 4 minutes or less based on the character count limitations of our voiceover tool, which I think is a great way to limit verbose language in any space, which is always helpful.
Yeah, you can also limit the verbose language depending on how you craft the prompt for Gen AI.
Yeah, absolutely. Benno put in the chat, try to provide a sense of ownership over the process in question. And Danielle, by the way, Benno, thank you for that. That I kind of think hits all three. But Danielle put in that she, not in her current role, but as a teacher at high school, she gave her students options for completing projects. Like, how did they want to do it? And she had really good luck when they were able to show their content in a way that they felt most comfortable. I love that. That's a huge part of UDL. And Ariel was coming from an enrollment coach perspective, which I love, and creating individual choice and vision, providing tailored assistance and tools based on their needs, and the game plan that they created together in order to get them into the program they wanted to, and often promoting realistic expectations. So really getting into that self-regulation around deadlines and timelines so the students can make informed decisions moving forward, which I think is really what's most important when it comes to persistence, is really ensuring that the students take ownership of the process and feel engaged in order to continue. Thanks to everyone who shared. We're going to move on to the next one, which is representation. So the three standards around that is perception, language and symbols, and comprehension, and the guidelines under those are listed there. It'd be great to hear from you in reference to your own efforts around representation. And this is one area that's changing. I wouldn't say nothing's really changing dramatically, but this is a place of improvement with 3.0, because the representation space is really around identity as well, and making sure that students feel seen, feel included in the stories we're telling around the content that we are promoting. So there's lots of ways to think of perception, language and symbols, and comprehension, but under the frame of inclusivity, the 3.0 guidelines are really going to be helpful in really getting specific for faculty and design staff on how they can do that. But I'd love to hear from you. What are ways that you are offering customization? Alternatives for auditory information was just covered by Steve. Steve, you don't have to go again. You already covered that one. Good job. All alternatives for visual information is huge. And I think this comes to like more than one way to access content. Again, those mini modules are huge, right? So you take content that's typically in an hour-long lecture, condensing it to the most important points, or taking content that's typically in text and condensing it into a visual representation, or vice versa. And then language and symbols, clarifying vocabulary, that really gets to the baseline of Bloom's taxonomy, right? People need to be able to recall and understand context of language before they can apply it or analyze or evaluate or create something using that information. So it's really getting into the scaffolded approach around cognition, and then clarifying syntax and structure, supporting the decoding of text, mathematical notation and symbols, promoting language understanding. So not just like the words we use, but the meaning behind the words. Making sure that anything's unfamiliar or complex in language or cultural relevance is explained. So if you're going to use some kind of metaphor or explanation of a connection in society in some way, then giving the background for the student to feel empowered to know about that thing. Because if they're an international learner, or if you're using something that's maybe contextual to your own passions, people aren't going to know what those are. And so your joke or your Easter egg or your experience that you're trying to relate might not hit if they don't actually understand where it's coming from. And then illustrating through multiple media ways. We just talked about that as well. And then under comprehension, I think that all kind of goes into it, activating and supplying background knowledge, highlighting patterns, critical features, big ideas and relationships, guiding information, processing and visualization, and maximizing the transfer and generalization of these concepts so they can apply learning to new concepts, contexts, and to their own environment. And I think that actually gets into a lot of our next piece, which I'll wait just a moment to make sure no one's typing and waiting to put it into the chat, but we can move on to action and expression if no one has anything to share for the representation space. Thank you so much, Steve. Steve shared in the chat an example of a mini module. Just to be clear, it was made as a joke in response to another faculty member who made some kind of snarky comment, hence the cartoon images. You can always count on Steve for a good laugh. Highlight of my day when we meet with our UDL is hearing what he has to say in these meetings, because he is quite funny. All right, we're going to move on to the next section of UDL, which is action and expression. So this is around physical action, this is around expression and communication overall, and creating executive function within our students, which also goes back to the engagement piece around self-regulation. But really thinking about physical action, varied methods for response and navigation, making sure that your course is extremely well written in that there are ways to move and navigate in multiple ways, and that the layout is understood, perceivable, robust. And then the optimization of access to tools and assistive technology. So opening doors to learning with accessible tools and devices, meaning that your content is able to be accessed by a screen reader, is able to be converted into an audio file because it's formatted properly and the screen reader knows how to work through that. And so thinking about how your content is accessed and the ways that your accessible design allows for the varied ways of access. And then expression and communication, using multiple media for communication, expressing their learning in flexible ways. That's what Danielle was talking about as well, is how does your student want to express themselves? Are you making them write a paper, or are you allowing them through a well-constructed rubric to really create anything as long as they meet the headers of the rubric? And then thinking about how you would use that to build fluencies with graduate levels of support for practice and performance. So are you providing different ways for them to interact with, different ways to create their content so they can become informed with how to do that, and applying maybe examples of past experiences from other students so they can see what kind of output you're looking for. And then executive function is around guiding appropriate goal setting. So does your rubric and does your Canvas course have a list of due dates? Is your course paced as such that you're scaffolding large experiences so students can follow along? Are there timelines in your course? Is there a checklist that they can use? Ways that you can help them with goal setting. Do you have a student contract that you could create with them to allow them to set their own goals and then follow up with those? So supporting planning and strategy goes into that as well as managing the information and resources that they have available in the course. And you can enhance the capacity for monitoring progress in multiple ways. It can be through self-regulated experiences. It could be through the Canvas gradebook, message students who function. Like if many people haven't responded to a discussion post, you could message students who have not responded yet. You could message students who did not get a good grade on one of your assignments and invite them into a special session on Zoom in order to improve the outcomes for all before they get into major assessments. So there's lots of ways to go through the action and expression space, but I'd like to hear from you if you have any that you've been using that you'd like to share in this space. So feel free to, again, take yourself off mute or put into the chat ways that you have supported or experienced action and expression as a universal design for learning principle in courses at ASU or before. Okay, I get it. It's the afternoon and it's a Wednesday. It's the middle of the week. So we're just going to move right along unless someone has something to put in the chat. And you let me know by pressing enter now, and then I'll wait for you to finish if you're not finished. Okay, moving along. So these are the primary modules. We do have one other module that was added last week, and I didn't actually update this slideshow with it, but these are the primary modules we'll be using in our UDL course. The course itself is about 2 hours long. It's asynchronous in nature, and it's really an introduction to Universal Design for Learning, meant to get people curious about the framework, helping them work through how they might implement one piece of the framework in their course, and then how and why UDL is important to their students' success and fulfilling the needs of our charter in reference to breaking through barriers to learning and really promoting student success in the ways that they define success for themselves. We do provide resources and tools to apply UDL easily, and we do so show some samples of how that happens with some of our faculty that are part of a video series that is kind of woven throughout the entire course. And then we do make a call to action around them applying UDL in their own course. So we'd love to hear what you have to say about this course. We plan to provide early access to certain groups, especially groups like this that have accessible-minded perspectives. Just to let you know, we will probably be ready for people to access that course mid-August. So you'll likely receive an email from Kathy or Alejandra inviting you into the course and soliciting your feedback if you'd like to give it. But the whole intent is to learn about UDL, the research behind it, and how it benefits both instructors and students. And it will launch officially mid-fall for everyone else in our ASU Accessibility Awareness Day conference and in partnership with the Provost Office, and some communication coming out in that timeline. So we are very much looking forward to this. Again, this course was birthed from UDAT, and it is a collaborative experience from people all over the university. Steve is involved, Angel Morgan's involved, Kathy, Adero, Alejandra, Tapati. I don't know who else is on the call because I can't see everybody in view here, but there's so many people. Oh, Danielle, I did see you. But there's lots of folks that are involved in this course creation as well. Courtney Ellsworth, Kyle Wagner come to mind. They've done so much work along with our faculty. And so we are just really very much looking forward to rolling this out across the university. We think it will not only help highlight the necessity of of accessibility, but will really create a new environment around meaningful assessment and meaningful content creation that will really increase student perseverance overall. So if you would like to join UDAT, if you didn't see all of the multiple Slack messages, you're welcome to reach out to me or Krista Perquito, and we will put you onto the invite. The meetings are typically held on the first Thursday of the month at 10 a.m. on Zoom. We discuss the state of digital accessibility at ASU, which means a variety of topics can come into that space. We're currently in the process of planning the AAAD web conference, so you're welcome to join those efforts. And then we just specifically were really created to create resources and support the university's accessibility efforts, which are going to become more critical over the next year and a half. So we could use your help, and you're welcome to join us. Again, feel free to email me.